Hello, fellow Disney Plus watchers. So glad you're joining today. Welcome to Your Thoughts, where I'll be reading and responding to what you thought about the latest Disney Plus episodes and movies. Before we begin, if you want to join in next time, just drop your thoughts on any of my review videos throughout the week and add D plus at the top of your comment so that I know you consent and agree that I'll be adding your words into the mix here. I'll not be responding to your comment in written form when it's submitted like this. And just want to say right up front, these videos are going to be a little less formal, little less B-roll footage or quick edits. I'm not gonna edit this video at all, or if I completely fuck up, you'll know there's a cut, but it's just gonna be you and me sitting down and talking about what came out on Disney Plus this week. So this week, we're talking about Age Scrat Tales, we're talking about the third episode of Moon Knight, and we're talking about the 9th episode of Louder and Prouder. And if you're not interested to talk about all of these, there are timestamps within this video and in the description below to choose the topics to your liking. Without wasting any more time. Okay, and we're starting with Ice Age Scrat Tales. And if it wasn't for a random guy 1001, who is, by the way, one of the OG viewers, he was here from the beginning, at least it feels like, he says, "My favorite is episode 6. I was kind of shocked when Scrat died." And I gotta say, I agree. I love Ice Age Scrat Tales, and I think episode 6 gave that biggest punch. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's so hard to say. They work so well together as this one arc. They're 3 minutes. These short films are 3 minutes, and they did it. They made an arc of. It's crazy how good it is for how short it is, right? It's not. You know what I mean. I was kind of shocked when Scrat died. You say, well. I didn't, because I thought, oh, we're gonna have another scene of him coming into heaven or heaven. Something that happened in the second film of Ice Age, The Meltdown. There was a scene, I can't remember where in the movie, but he comes up, he's dead and he's in heaven. So that didn't shock me, because I thought, no, they're doing that again, so he's not really gonna die. But actually, the more disturbing moment was when he was going back into his skin. He pulled it up like a onesie. That was a bit unsettling for the youngest of kids. Now, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal, but thanks for sending that in. Okay, that was the only comment on Ice Age Scrat Tales. Now to Moon Knight Episode 3. Tibu the Axolotl, I don't know how you pronounce that. I know it's a sea creature. I know it's not a Pokemon. I thought it was a Pokemon at first. I don't know. I know it's, I don't know how to pronounce it. This commenter says, "I like it how Marvel uses the Disney Plus series to introduce new elements to the MCU in a standalone story. But the way I look at this is that this concept only works if that story does not have that much impact on the greater universe. For otherwise, it becomes hard to explain story-wise why the already known characters do not interfere. Now we have the rewind the night sky back 2,000 years scene, and I'm a bit worried that this will become such a plot hole where, say, a Doctor Strange apparently does not notice this and decides to take a look at what is going on. I would like to see that the producers think more about these kind of things and explain them within the story at some moment." And I gotta disagree with this sentiment, although I do understand what you're saying. The thing is, they have 3 episodes to go. That's the first thing. The second thing, the first repercussion of this happening has already taken place. Khonshu is now locked away, so there's stuff going on. It isn't just happening out of the blue. They do acknowledge how big it is, right, that this happens. And again, I trust Marvel with these kind of things. Some things are explained way later. Sometimes we get a movie and we get something explained that we didn't even expect it to have that explained to us at this point in time. Like some stuff about the snap or the blip gets recontextualized, and they're so good at that. And I think it's very, very early to say you would like to see that the producers think more about these kind of things. I would disagree. I mean, that's just my opinion. That sentiment is not for now, and it was such a cool scene. I mean, the idea that the Earth is this stationary thing and that the universe around it moves. for it instead of the Earth itself is it sparks my imagination, and it was one of my favorite scenes of the episode, absolutely. Then we move on to Random Guy 1001 again, and he also has some thoughts on Moon Knight. He says, I really loved the story of this episode. It was very interesting and very surreal. Yes, it was. I mean, the sky literally moved back 2,000 years. I wonder if that will impact the rest of the MCU. I don't think in big ways, but again, we have half of a season to go, and they will acknowledge that they're already acknowledging that it was really big what is happening, and that it cannot be unpunished. So Khonshu faced the consequences of that. So that is already an impact, right? But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a big event thing. It's not a Loki. It's not a Multiverse of Madness. This is a one-off show. It's also for the academies. It was it was listed as a limited series. So I don't think something huge happens for the MCU. And then he adds with another comment, they also represented Egypt very well. I've been there multiple times. Everything from the loud and chaoticness of the streets to the shaky camera work. Yes, I think that the shaky camera work was a good thing that represented the chaoticness of Egypt, really added to the feel of the setting, and I gotta agree with you there. I don't like certain shots within the third episode that completely take me out of it. You know, the camera, the eye of the camera is such a important thing and such a sensitive thing. So if it moves and my brain can't process it as a real image, then it falls apart. So there was one shot like halfway through the episode where it felt like the cameraman just forgot his shoulder rig, just forgot it. Like it was so chaotic. It was on a balcony, and there was no meaning to the movement. Even though, yes, it was that busy street, but there was no meaning to it. And in the chase scenes and the fight scenes, there was a meaning, and it was very well done. And I think the style of this camera work, the style of the series, was decided based on that it takes place in Egypt, and that it has all these specific kinds of action, this hand-to-hand combat and these chases, and that they wanted to rhyme, of course, the first two episodes or more of the show that doesn't take place in Egypt and doesn't have that kind of action, and rhyme it with the rest of the show. And that's why all of the shots, all of the scenes are such shaky messes sometimes. I think that's what's going on here. Stefan Katarasu, I hope I pronounced that correctly, writes, thoughts on Mark's secret. Could it have anything to do with Layla's father's death? Also, Mark firmly thought Steven killed those Egyptian guys in this episode, to which Steven denied, hinting at a third personality. Could this third personality be the one who took over in episode 1 in the European town where he killed a few of Arthur's followers? Or could it have been Khonshu directly possessing Steven/Mark? He's pretty vocal about Steven, calling him the worm, but very quiet about this third personality. All in all, another banger of an episode. So yeah, few points. Yes, it was a banger of an episode. You're right. Yes, there was a scene, of course, where Arthur came in. They were at the tomb of Senfu. That's when he came in and confronted Layla about her father. And in that same sentence, or at least right after that, he pointed out how Mark still has secrets from her and that he's keeping from her. And he says, "Piece of shit," He's Oscar Isaac's character is very angry about that. So when I add that up, I really think you're right there, and they do hint at a connection there. So I think you're right about that. And yeah, Khonshu directly possessing Steven or Mark, yeah, that could very well be. I think maybe it's a bit too obvious. Because he is painted as this rogue character that doesn't really take orders and that doesn't really have a clear code. And yeah, so I think it's gonna be something else, because it's a little bit too on the nose if that's him. But you're definitely not wrong per se. I would expect it, but I hope they go with something bigger or something crazier. if they manage to turn everything around and show us how every character except Oscar Isaac's personas are crazy, like everybody's crazy, and I don't know, something like that, something crazy. Okay, let's move on to the Proud Family Louder and Prouder episode 9. Random Guy 1001 says, this was definitely the strongest episode. This is the first episode where I feel like there were some good heartfelt moments that were actually impactful. So, Mr. Random, yes, and that's coming down to 2 moments. The one in the bedroom where La Cienega really threw it. She's really done with her position and how La Brea is taking over her whole pride, you know, her whole thing, her whole party, everything she stands for in this episode. It's all taking away. La Brea is the gal. No, but really the heartfelt moment of the whole episode is the moment where they finally pause. This show finally pauses and gives us a resolution that's paid off well, and yeah, the cutting the hair thing, the getting the haircut was clever. I think that was really built up well. So that's why they were at the barber shop, because they later at the end of the episode they refer back to the haircut. The haircut saves her life, and La Brea, I don't know, it just fits. It's. I agree. I don't want to ramble too much. I think this was enough, but I agree. Random Guy. Sunflower Gotcha YouTube, the YT, says, hello, I've been a fan of your channel for a pretty long time. Well, that's great. So glad to hear that. This is just a request. Is it okay if the season ends? Could you do a video on how you feel about the characters throughout the season? I haven't really heard your opinions of the characters in the show, and it would be interesting, in my opinion. If you see this comment, thanks for reading. Well, reading is only 10 seconds of work, Sunflower. Thanks for commenting. Okay, and I'm not gonna do the video you're asking about. So that's rude of me. No, but seriously, no, I'm not gonna have time to do that and an episode ranking, because episode rankings are, to me, really important to do. So look forward to an episode ranking coming Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna just list a few of the characters, but I want to give... I want to be honest with you. This show is not good with characters, and this show doesn't really have characters. It has stories, and it uses familiar drawings and names and slightly familiar behavior to paint a picture that fools us into thinking we're watching a show with characters. Okay, that's a bit harsh, but let's look at Penny. Penny is just whatever here. No, she has a good set of values, and Penny is Penny. She's just a baseline, basic, good-hearted, not a bad protagonist for this show. She works fine, but she's Penny. Oscar he's funny. And he's the most consistently funny character to me. Maybe next to Sugar Mama. The thing is about this show, his behavior is very extreme and sometimes a bit abusive. I know that's a big word for this kind of stuff, but a bit abusive to his daughter because of it. He means well, I know, but he's very selfish and narcissistic in the process, and that was the case in the original Proud Family. Here in this show, you can see they stepped it up, which makes it sometimes even funnier, and sometimes a bit ridiculous, where you're sitting there watching it and thinking, ooh, that nobody should take this like it's apples and oranges. This is not normal behavior. So let's look at Trudy. Trudy is less of a character than in the original. In the original, she really had hard conflicts with Oscar, or dilemmas about raising their child, and they really paused on that in the original show and really focused in on what that meant to her. But here she's just kind of a background character, and she's not really a character. She's also just kind of there. Now, I'm being a bit too harsh. Characters can be characters without, being Shakespeare or anything, but you know what I mean. She's less of a character, and that's a shame. Then we have Sugar Mama, consistently funny to me. Now not every joke lands, but she's the butt joke of the. I don't like the character Pappy. I think he's annoying. But they. No, they don't really work, but in the original, it's the exact same problem for me. La Cienega finally has her, in the latest episode, has a bit of an arc, but overall, she's inconsistent, right? She's also one of the friends, but she's also a bully sometimes. And sometimes, yeah, she does horrible things, and there's no mention of it again. It's just how they do it, how these group of friends cooperate. So there's some toxic stuff. And let's move to Dijonay now, because that's a nice bridge to it. There's some toxic stuff going on within within the group of friends, and Dijonay is also someone that contributes to that. But yeah, Dijonay it's the same story as La Cienega. She's one time a really good friend to Penny, and she's supportive and whatever. And then the other time she's snitching, she's telling the secrets she shouldn't tell, and it's just kind of confusing. They're not really great characters in this new show, and they were better, more charming in the original. So those were a bit of the core characters I had some thoughts on. But let me check your name again, Sunflower. I'm sorry, this is just what you're gonna get, because the reason you haven't really heard my opinions of the characters specifically in the show is I okay, that's my that's my reaction. Just confusion. They're not really characters. So I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching this, and let me know down below. This was the first time. If you liked this, was it a bit too long? Am I a bit too much talky, or do you like the rambling? Let me know down below, and have a great Easter. I should say, yeah, have a good one. And for now, have a wonderful day, and see ya!